Long time no see. So as you heard from the intro, I really, really like databases and data stores. And one of the things that I find helpful in my daily job as a DevOps/SRE, whatever you call it, is imagining those elements and infrastructure that I'm taking care of as little characters, because then I can communicate with them and I can care about them and I can actually think about their journey. And I wanted to share that journey of a little database with you today. Before we dig into it, I wanted to present our hero and other personas that are going to appear in this talk, partially because I think it's cute, but also because my drawings are maybe not that great, so you might not be able to recognize them. So the little database is now our main hero on the journey. It's working with the app, who is evolving and growing, and it's getting some replicas. It's being orchestrated to help out with the increased growth and traffic coming from the app. And it also gets to meet proxy SQL, because at some point, it's just not enough to have replicas. So join me on the journey. The lone hero. In not so far and distant land, an app prepares to handle brand new traffic for the brand new day. It's Monday morning. Who can say how many users will there be? App is impatient to wait and see. The first login request comes in. Username, password, all within a call to backend API. Now app can try to verify if the connection can be placed. Sends to the little database. The database opens one eye. A new request comes through the wire. Excited, reads the message quick. The SQL query does the trick. It sends a response right away. The user cannot start their day. As morning travels coast to coast, the app has more and more to post. The DB works with all its might, ensuring very acid writes, while latency is kept down low so app can work with even flow. It indexes its every table to make sure that it is able to answer any query quick. A B-tree is a neat new trick it learned from theory of graphs. It goes ahead and always grabs primary index for its store, then uses it to compare the whole table space, traversing through only the most relevant of routes. It also tries to use the RAM to make sure it can quickly scan the most popular of the requests. Whenever then the app requests with a repeated query pattern, it can response get from the buffer instead of reading from the disk. It's how it keeps itself so brisk. As day goes by, the buffer pool gets significantly less cool, decreasing miss rates as it goes, improving speed of data stores. Suddenly, the traffic spikes. The app has gotten many likes and shares from influential folk. Now, many people want to poke and use the app in their new flow. Things are starting to get slow. The database can barely run the queries coming in. It's slammed. As app is scaling to respond, 2 new instances get spawned. More connections are flowing in. The little DB strives to breathe. And in despair, it tries to cram all the new threads into its RAM. Alas, the instance type it's on only has so much RAM in store. A new connection comes and dooms our little hero to an They crash. As app is trying to serve its pages, it seems like it is taking ages. What's the cause of this delay? Database server has gone away. The app starts sending 105s, waiting for data store to come online. The DB was able to reboot. It seems the failure was pretty acute. Alas, what is this odd exception? It can't handle a write connection. It seems that after the reboot, any writes are kind of moot. The app throws errors left and right. The user stuck without the write. DB remembers back in the day, it has decided on a way to secure its data stash after a very sudden crash, and to have some time to check that there isn't any wreck. It sets read-only on its store. Now it just needs to restore the proper config in its place. The app no longer sees the trace. Finally, it can do some writes. It's gonna be slow as it tries to handle all the DLH jobs. After a failure, the coming gobs. All the reports to generate, all the subscriptions to activate, all the indexing to dissipate, all the values to calculate. Everything has to propagate to make up for the time the app had to wait. Once all the jobs have been handled, now it has time to finally untangle how to make sure the app can connect, even when DB is currently wrecked. It looks in the mirror as it ponders and sighs. What could it do if it suddenly tries to answer too many requests all at once, ensuring that none of them bounce? It would need a way to be still able to see what is happening and react to it too. Is there maybe a way it could start to be two? If one instance drops, the other steps in. How could it get a hold of a twin? Mirror, mirror on the wall. Can I make myself a clone? It would need to be able to have config of mine, but that's all in a source code, so it should be just fine. We can spin up an instance, allocate all the RAM, make sure that it is ready for the bad if I'm jammed, and then every time I write something in store, it should always transcribe it word for word, like it's lore. It spins up to a new host with its configuration. Now all that is left is to set up replication, creating a user and password for each, so they can both primary easily reach and get access to bin logs or GTIDs, replicating everything little database did. It also wants to make sure failovers work to ensure that the app can get a network connection to a writable store. Orchestrator could help with this chore, monitoring all instances, making sure that a host can handle connections if the primary is toast. It adds a new host into its VPC. Now Orchestrator is all set up to see how the DB is doing and reacting to queries. How much is replication lagging behind primary? Is there a need for a replica to come up to speed? Now that failovers work automatically, the database is dramatically less worried about its resilience. Very proud of its brilliance, it looks forward to a traffic spike. Now it's unstoppable, feels like. But the traffic comes and soars, growing strong and needing more and more connections from DB. Failovers work, yet it must decree it's not enough to keep reacting. It must become more proactive. Even more growth. As the user base of apps still grows, it seems that more and more inflows are coming through from every angle. While database can mostly handle connections that are flowing in and always fail over back to a twin, it seems that it's just not enough. When traffic spikes, things still get rough. It starts to ponder about resources. Could it potentially limit the sources of traffic to the data store? With the same assets serve more connections and not topple over? Can the user needs easily cover? The reads could all probably go to replicas, lag is kept so low, and then the writes what wary of has to be only the primary. The connections can probably also be shared without the user experience impaired. It needs to find a wise new friend to whom the app can always send requests and let that friend decide how is it going to then guide them to the database using multiplexing without a need for refusing any connections from the app. Who has the skills to bridge this gap? Orchestrator raises a hand. It has a wise and helpful friend. Proxy SQL can join the crew to handle connections and multiplex too, assigning the replicas to a reader group, allowing the database to recoup resources for writing to the store, enabling the cluster to handle more requests and send responses quick. Add to it the multiplexing trick, and now the app can grow and grow without the DB getting slow. Epilogue. Everything is running smoothly. The database is absolutely thrilled with how well it responds. The traffic spikes no longer spawn countless threads, eating up all the RAM. Now it's time to have some fun. Oh joy! The app just got a new deploy. New features for users to enjoy. Can't wait to get a sort of data. It's a glimpse of it from beta testing of the all new flows. It seems they come up with only pros. Alas, something's amiss. No requests coming. Deploy is misconfigured, and the app has crashed. The DB threads are being slashed. Where are all the connections? Database has no directions. It tries to calm down and not feel bad. Surely the app is coming back. Long seconds pass and silence looms. Nothing can stop the impending doom. Saddened, it plops itself on the ground and then meekly looks around, trying hard not to give in to sadness and crack. It starts singing a song for the app to come back. It starts singing a song for the app to come back? It starts singing a song for the app to come back. Do you want to store some data? Come on, let's add some in. You never ask me anymore. Please start some, let it flow in. We used to be best buddies, and now we're not. I wish you could tell me why. Do you want to store some data? Doesn't have to be your data. Okay, bye. Do you want to store some data? Doesn't have to be a lot. Your queries are long overdue. My buffer pages are no longer even hot. It gets a little lonely, all this idle room, just watching the hours tick by. Do you want to store some data? Doesn't have to be your data. Please, I know you're out there. Proxy's asking where you've been. They say be ready, and I'm trying to. I'm right here for you. Send queries in. We only have each other. It's just you and me. What are you gonna store? Do you wanna store some data?